Well, this is the live shot of Tahrir Square in central Cairo. Relatively peaceful scene compared to the one we saw on Friday. A curfew is actually in place for the capital, Alexandria and Suez, until 8 o'clock on Sunday morning. But it doesn't seem like anyone's in any hurry to leave. Earlier, state television quoted an army source who said anyone violating the curfew would be in danger. Now, the Defence Ministry spokesman has reaffirmed that, saying armed forces will act to ensure security. Well, desperate to restore a sense of normality, an army commander addressed the crowds.
Thugs are everywhere now. The corrupt businessmen are cowardly staying home. We headed downtown yesterday. Many honest men like you told us, help us. There are thugs going around looting and wrecking shops, help us. And they were supporting and helping us in doing so. We cannot separate the good from the bad. We demand one thing and one thing only. I will take off my army uniform and join you on the street. Demonstrate and express yourself as much as you wish, but at night, clear the streets and let us handle the thugs.
Are still ablaze on Saturday morning. You can see the smoke and still some flames coming from the higher windows. Down here on the grounds of this compound, you can see that every vehicle in sight here has been set alight by protesters. They stormed this compound last night. They didn't spare any vehicle. There must be 50 vehicles in total. All of them have been torched by protesters furious with President Moubarak and calling for an end to his 30 years of rule. This is President Moubarak's answer to restoring order on the streets. Egyptian military tanks rolled into many Egyptian cities overnight. This is the street in Cairo that leads to the state television and the foreign ministry. It is now blocked by the military to prevent any demonstrations that may take place today from getting access to these key installations. President Moubarak also addressed Egyptians on state television last night, promising reform and also to dismiss his government. It's highly unlikely that's going to appease the protesters who turned out in huge numbers yesterday, because they're not asking for the government to be dismissed, they're asking for President Moubarak to stand down.
Running from harm's way, people trying to flee the scene of renewed clashes between the crowds and police. Protesters who defied the ban on taking to the streets, clearly not fazed by the zero-tolerance police has been showing on Wednesday. In his first remarks since the tension began, the Prime Minister said,
"The Cabinet affirms that all citizens have the right to express their opinion, but in a peaceful way, by peaceful means. Freedom of expression has guidelines. There will be swift and strong intervention by police to protect national security."
But the message from these young men, peaceful, peaceful. That's what their protests have been, they say. Although, as these pictures show, they weren't exactly holding back. And moments later, the response anything but peaceful. The result colored with pain. Earlier, just before sundown, hundreds huddled at the press and lawyers' syndicates, some trying to break the cordon confining them. And it was when they broke through to march, as thousands did on Tuesday, that police went all out. As night fell, the chase continued between the two sides.
They were beating them up with sticks, and there was this 14-year-old who was brutally beaten up by like 5 or 6 people. They just were running after people who, like random people walking in the street. They're not taking part in any like protest, they're just being there.
They opened the tank, al-Mudarraa, then they took me in. Then they kept on hitting me for more than 5 minutes. They took my camera, they took my mobile, they took my memory card, and they destroyed everything. And after that, they released me. They didn't give me anything.
Just take a look at what happened when we tried to film the aftermath.
This is the area that witnessed some of the more violent confrontations between police forces, riot police, and the protesters. Let's walk a little bit further down here. This is the car that protesters burned. This is actually a police car that protesters burned on Tuesday at the height of their confrontations with police. It doesn't seem that confrontations have fizzled.
That's when police asked us to stop filming. the one thing that went on, the capital's traffic. Rawi Ragih, Al Jazeera, Cairo.
We're surprised from the morning that our transmission via Nilesat was cut off. We're trying to contact Nilesat. They talked to us about some memos came to them from the higher authorities. But thanks for our technical team, they have worked hardly so that they get Al Jazeera Mubashir back on the Nilesat on another or third frequency. They did it with a third party. So thanks to them, now we are back on the Nilesat. Our coverage is a continuous coverage. We're also still on Arabsat, on Hotbird. Alhamdulillah, the feedback from our viewers is very good. Things are moving very fast. We hear that before 25th of January, we hear that will be big demonstrations in Egypt and a call for demonstration in Egypt. But not all of us took it that serious. We didn't expect that it will be that big action. But we found it serious, and we had, as media, we had to tackle it the appropriate way. If you look at the screens, you can see that the demos are still there. I don't know where it will end, but we are monitoring. We are trying to take the picture to the viewers wherever they are. I can't expect actually. What's happening in the whole region? Unexpected. It's not easy to expect.
Still out in full force, police not taking chances on Wednesday. Egyptians may have been waking up to news of the protests, but little has changed.
Traffic, as you can see here in the heart of the capital, has been flowing smoothly, a stark contrast to Tuesday when Cairo's entire center came to a standstill. Tahrir, or Liberation Square, activists say living up to its name. Thousands remained huddled here for hours in the cold and the dark, until the patience of security forces ran out. Many of the protesters letting out pent-up frustrations that have been building for years from choking economic conditions and ongoing political uncertainty. Dozens of people have been rounded up around the country, interrogations already underway. And the government has issued a clear warning that no more protests will be allowed. But limited gatherings within the confines of the press syndicate and the lawyers' bar did take place. It seems the leniency authorities had initially shown at the beginning of the protests on Tuesday is not likely to be repeated, at least for the time being. Rawi Ragih, Al Jazeera, Cairo.